Hello, I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCTM PBS SoCal, and we're partnering with the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a daily reporter roundup. Let's start with you, Mike Rowe, and the latest from the state on the COVID pandemic.
Well, with California's daily COVID-19 cases doubling over the last 10 days, Governor Newsom held a press conference announcing that the state was pulling what he called an emergency brake on reopening. Almost 30 counties are jumping back into the most restrictive reopening tier. That includes all of Southern California, with Orange and Ventura counties joining LA County, which hasn't managed to improve its numbers enough to lower restrictions just yet. Officials are also considering a statewide curfew. State Health Secretary Dr. Mark Galley said that hopefully rates will start coming down by the end of the year and forward movement on reopening can start once again.
We have news today that a second vaccine is showing promise, bringing us one step closer to a future where we don't have to stay inside all the time. LAS Gina Pollock is looking at how the vaccine might actually be distributed to the public once it's approved.
Yeah, so the big news today is that one of the COVID vaccines created by a company called Moderna was found to be about 94.5% effective. That's according to preliminary data. And last week, another vaccine created by a company called Pfizer was found to be 90% effective. Both of these vaccines are still in clinical trial and they still have to be approved by the FDA. But both companies say they could potentially be ready for distribution as early as January. Today, LA County Public Health Director Dr. Ferrer said she expects to be able to administer a vaccine, depending on which one gets approved, to the general public at some point in the spring 2021. According to her, healthcare workers would get first priority, then essential workers and those who are high risk, especially anyone living in nursing homes, and then after that, the general public. But there's still a lot of infrastructure to figure out exactly how to get the vaccine into people's hands. And like one doctor I spoke to said, the devil's in the details.
We've asked our health reporter, Jackie Fortier, to join us to put county numbers and all of today's news in a little more context.
Yeah, I mean, California is really at a tipping point. Right now, our hospitals have enough open beds, but if this current surge gets worse, that will not be the case. And we know that people under the age of 49 are really driving these new infections. Overall, LA County's case rate has doubled in just 1 week. Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer said young adults especially are getting infected. Cases in 18 to 29-year-olds have more than doubled in the last 2 weeks. And we're really seeing a shift in tone among health leaders across the country and locally. Today, Dr. Mark Galley, who's the state health secretary, recommended that only one person in each household go to essential businesses to really limit the amount of infection that each household is exposed to. So if you're 4 people in one house, they recommend that just one of you, goes to the grocery store who aren't magnifying that risk. And really, every option seems to be on the table. When I talked to Governor Gavin Newsom a few weeks ago, he said he'd consider another statewide stay-at-home order if our hospitalizations and cases got bad enough. So now it's up to people to see if they can take some personal responsibility and see if we can turn this around.
And finally, today we have something non-COVID. Kamala Harris is about to become the vice president, which means Governor Newsom will have the opportunity to name her replacement in the Senate. Politics reporter Libby Denkman has been following the conversations around the pick, and it's not one without some controversy.
I think most of all, this pick really highlights the lack of diversity in the Senate. It's still overwhelmingly white and male. And so that means that this opening really carries a lot of weight and carries a lot of expectations for people who are hoping that it either expands or maintains the representation for certain groups at our government's highest levels. This morning, Latino elected and nonprofit leaders kicked off a week of public events up and down the state calling for Newsom to pick a Latino or Latina to fill the Senate seat. State Senator Maria Elena Durazo chairs California's Latino Legislative Caucus.
It sends a message that California respects the diversity of the state. California will give the recognition to communities of color. And it's not like a Latino senator will only represent the needs of Latinos.
Though they make up roughly 40% of the state's population, California has never been represented by a Latino in the Senate. But other Democratic leaders say Kamala Harris is the only Black woman in the Senate currently, and her replacement should also be an African American woman.
Thank you, Libby, and thank you all at the KPCC and LAist newsroom. We will see you tomorrow.